What is up, everybody, and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I mostly just want to have a conversation with you about some of my thoughts on loaners and like why you're not going to see a video or videos for these three loaners that are here in front of you. So some of you might have seen my previous updates video where I sort of talked about destructuring the channel and sort of taking away some of those review type aspects from the channel itself, and just focusing on, the knives that I enjoy and doing videos that I enjoy making. Something else that I mentioned in that video, of course, was, just sort of being really picky about loaners. And an opportunity came up. That's Not a Knife on Instagram. Great dude. Sent along all three of these knives: a Brian Nadeau Typhoon, a Brian Nadeau Cyclone, and a Nova Blades Omnivore. Super sweet knives. He sent these along, and I was really excited for a couple of reasons. One, I thought that it would be really valuable to sort of give both of these models a bit of a redo. So if you guys remember, like, this is like way back, so most people probably won't remember this, but like over a year ago, I put out a video on the Typhoon, and the issue with that was that there was nothing particularly wrong with the knife, except for the fact that it had been sold to me by a dealer, and they had said that it was in perfect condition. And when I got the knife, the clip was bent. It had clearly been through some pretty rough times. It was like really dirty and gunky. The action was terrible. The blade was off center. And it was just kind of a catastrophe. And so I sort of like made part of that video, and then I ended up sending the Typhoon back to the dealer the next day. And so that was like a bad first example of one of Brian's knives, and an unfair example. And so, I had said in that video, obviously I was going to try to get my hands on another one of his knives. And then again, I got my hands on a Cyclone, but the Cyclone that I got was not to my particular fancy, right? It was bronze. It was more of like a user model as opposed to one of the dressier models like what I have here. And at the time, I wasn't quite as conscious of the verbiage I was choosing to use in my videos. I didn't have a lot of followers or anything, and so I kind of gave that knife just like a really negative video, and I did so in a very unfair way. Honestly, I didn't really give the knife a fair shake. I made some unfair comparisons, and ultimately, because the knife didn't tickle my fancy, I made it sound like it was a bad knife, when ultimately it's not a bad knife, it's just not a knife that fits my preferences. And I think I do a pretty good job of explaining that these days, but I certainly did not in my original Cyclone video. And then, of course, after that, I did get a mini Typhoon, and that was a pretty positive video overall. But I really wanted an opportunity, especially when I was presented with it, to bring both of these knives back to the channel and sort of give them a redo. Sort of the Typhoon never really got a shake in the first place, and the Cyclone never got a fair shake. And these were good examples to do it with. This Typhoon's purple, and it's got sort of the blade styling that I would have chosen if I had probably built one of these myself back when Brian was originally doing runs of the Typhoon. So I was like, this is a great configuration for me to try out. And the same was true of the Cyclone. You can see the absolutely gorgeous milling here. Brian does a fantastic job with milling. When I was checking out his knives at Blade Show last year, there were some really impressive pieces. He does that sort of tri-pattern weave like pattern. It's pretty crazy, but you can just see how the light plays off all this milling. It's absolutely gorgeous. This beautiful hand rub satin blade. He does a killer satin. And so overall, this knife is a really great example of the Cyclone, and a really great example of a configuration that I would definitely have in my own collection were I to own one of these knives. And so I was pretty stoked. I got the knives, and I was pretty happy about having the opportunity to sort of do a redo. And then when it came to the Omnivore, you can see a beautiful full Timascus scale. I was really excited to get this knife because, again, to mention Blade Show last year, I tried out Nova Blades knives for the first time. I had never heard of them before, but I came really close to almost buying one. There was a liner lock with lightning strike carbon fiber and bolsters, and this crazy polished sand my blade that had like this really deep etch that had been polished off. It was amazing. And so getting the opportunity to have a Nova Blades on the channel was something I was very much looking forward to. However, having said all that, and having gotten these knives, what I realized is, even though these are good opportunities to do what I wanted to do, based on my previous video and sort of after I got them, I realized that even if they're great examples of the maker's work, if they're not a knife that I want in my collection for whatever personal preference type of reason, then it's just still not a knife I want to make a video on, even if it's a loaner. And so I'm realizing that because these wouldn't be in my collection, that it's really not valuable for me to try to pump out a video just to pump out a video, for the sake of doing it. So that's why you're not going to see videos on these knives. Now, I want to mention a couple of things. One, that, this Cyclone is absolutely fantastic and a beautiful, beautiful piece of work, and I definitely recommend this knife if you're interested in something like this. The Nova Blades Omnivore, just this particular one, I believe it's pre-Blade 2017, and the action is really good and everything, but it just really doesn't fit my preferences. I'm not really into the frame locks right now. It's a bit tingy in terms of the acoustics, and the detent's pretty light. If you push button, it fires out pretty well, but you can see if I light switch, I don't get the best deployment. And so, that doesn't really fit my preferences. Also, the clip sits just off of the frame, and you might be able to hear the clicking. So sometimes you grip the knife and it makes a clicking sound. That's just really not to my preference. And this Typhoon model just really wasn't to my taste either. You have this really strong stainless steel clip, which again, I know many of Brian's followers really enjoy that. It's just not to my personal taste. And so, again, even though this one was purple and I really like it, I really like the diamond mill pattern. I think the knife looks absolutely sick, especially when it's closed. I really like this profile that it has. Again, it just wasn't a knife that I was super stoked to make a video on. So I really, the point of making this video was sort of to be able to get these knives on the channel so that you guys can see them. Just because they're not to my taste doesn't mean they aren't to your taste. And then I just wanted to make a couple comments that, again, with the Nadeau videos, I could have done a lot better job. And so I just want to say that even though I don't absolutely love all the details on his knives, I think the work that he does is absolutely incredible. I think his CNC work is fantastic. I love the way his detents feel. I think he makes a really sweet knife. And as far as the Nova Blades knife is concerned, I really wanted to stress that I really enjoy Nova Blades as a maker. I really look forward to seeing what they decide to bring to Blade Show this year. And just because this knife wasn't to my satisfaction, I really do expect to bring on a model, whether it's my own or a loaner, that I really enjoy, and to give their work the full sort of amount of attention that it deserves. So I really want to thank That's Not a Knife on Instagram for sending these along. I don't know if he wants me to use his real name, so I'm not going to. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I know this one's kind of a weird one. It was kind of just rambly. I didn't really say much. I apologize for that. But I just felt like, the knives deserve to be on the channel, and the things that I had to say that I have said in this video needed to be said. And so, moving forward, I'm going to be a lot more careful in terms of saying yes to a knife. Obviously, the Omnivore I couldn't really know until I got it in hand. These I should have maybe thought through a little bit. But I do look forward to getting other loaners. I have a couple of super sweet knives that I picked up recently that I'm really looking forward to showing you guys. And I should be doing that EDC gear live stream very soon. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Of course, if you want to see pictures of beautiful knives, you can do so by following me on Instagram at tovarishworks. And if you'd like to reach out to me for any reason whatsoever, you can do so by emailing me at tovarishworks@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.